The forest slept under a heavy blanket of mist. Above the endless canopy, the blood moon hung low. An ancient eye that had watched countless transformations, countless betrayals. Tonight it bore witness again. Hidden in the black marrow of the woods, a creature stirred, no longer merely human and not fully beast. Eli Warren crouched low beneath a fallen oak, his breathing ragged, his golden eyes slicing through the dark. Every muscle in his new body coiled with the brutal grace of instinct, but his mind, fractured and bleeding, fought to hold on to what scraps of humanity remained. The transformation had changed everything. Gone were the dreams of normalcy. Gone was the illusion of safety. In their place stood a body made for killing, a mind sharpened by hunger and rage. Only through sheer will and the rough teachings of Aggie, the only one who had understood, had Eli survived the first nights of his new existence. He had learned to control the shift. He had learned to run, but he had not yet learned to hide. The wind carried a scent to him now, sharp, metallic, and wrong. His nostrils flared. His ears, longer and pointed now, swiveled toward the west. They were coming, not the humans he had once feared in his boyhood nightmares. No, this was worse. This was the pack, a rival group of werewolves, older, meaner, ruled by blood and claw. In the world Eli had stumbled into, not all who carried the curse were free. Many were bound by chains older than memory, puppets dancing on the strings of an unseen master, and any rogue, any anomaly, was a threat that had to be extinguished. The Alpha had already caught Eli's scent. His fate had been decided long before he even heard the first distant howl. The hunt had begun. The first attack came swift and silent. A dark blur, a massive, hulking shape, rushed him from the undergrowth. Eli barely leaped aside in time, feeling the air split where claws should have ripped his throat. He landed hard, mud splashing up around him. Instinct roared inside his skull, run, run! But this was not a mindless chase. This was organized, a coordinated assault. The pack moved with predatory precision, flanking him, driving him deeper into the forest, toward open plains where the moonlight would strip him of shadows to hide in. Eli bared his teeth and backed away slowly, heart pounding in his chest like a war drum. His mentor's voice whispered inside him, "Don't fight their way, fight your own." He pivoted, not toward the open ground, toward the ravine. Trees blurred past him as he sprinted, paws thudding against the earth. His new body responded with savage efficiency, bones coiled for speed, lungs gulping air, muscles firing in synchronized fury. Still, the pack followed. A glance over his shoulder showed them, 4 dark figures, monstrous but terrifyingly agile, weaving through the woods with ease. Their leader, a massive wolf with scars crisscrossing his face, led the charge, eyes glowing with cruel amusement. This wasn't just a hunt, it was a lesson, a warning. The ravine came into view, a gash in the forest floor dropping 20 feet into a tangle of jagged rocks and dead trees. Without hesitation, Eli leaped. The world slowed. Moonlight bathed his body midair, illuminating every drop of blood clinging to his fur, every wound, every battle already fought. He hit the other side, rolled, and scrambled upright, claws tearing into the dirt for purchase. A roar of frustration echoed behind him as the pack skidded to a halt at the ravine's edge. One of them tried to leap after him, missed, and tumbled into the abyss with a sickening crack. 3 left. For now, Eli didn't wait to celebrate. He plunged deeper into the forest, weaving through gnarled roots and tangled underbrush, pushing his new body harder than ever before. His mind burned with a single thought: survive. Above him, the trees thinned. Through the gaps he glimpsed not endless forest, but lights. City, lights, civilization. Dangerous, but also salvation. Among the labyrinth of concrete and shadows, he could lose the pack, hide, regroup, maybe even find answers. But he had to reach it first. The howls behind him grew louder, angrier, not just hunting now, vengeful. The blood moon watched silently, and somewhere deep inside, Eli felt the ancient part of himself, the beast born not just of the curse but of survival, begin to stir, ready to do whatever was necessary. The pack might have been hunting him, but he would teach them that prey could also bite back. The city was a blur of motion and noise beyond the tree line. Neon lights flickered like dying stars, reflecting off cracked sidewalks and rain-slicked alleys. In his human life, Eli would have found comfort in the city's chaos. Tonight, it was just another hunting ground, one with nowhere to hide. He reached the outskirts, his paws slipping on loose gravel as he sprinted down a forgotten service road. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound, a car horn, a dog's bark, distant laughter, cut jaggedly into his sharpened senses. But worse were the sounds behind him. 3 shapes, massive and merciless, tearing through the night at impossible speed. The pack would not stop, not until his blood marked the asphalt. Eli veered sharply into a maze of abandoned warehouses, breathing hard, his chest heaving. Somewhere, Deep in his gut, instinct whispered a dangerous idea. Stop running, fight. He shook it off. Not yet. Not here. He ducked into a rusted-out factory shell, slipping behind a bank of old machinery, his heart hammered. His golden eyes flicked left, right, scanning, hunting for an exit. Instead, he found something else, someone else. A figure crouched in the shadows, a shape not quite beast, not quite man, watching him. Another werewolf, but different, smaller, leaner, eyes glinting with a wild intelligence rather than blind hunger. A fresh set of scars laced across the figure's arms and neck, scars that spoke of battles fought but not lost. Before Eli could react, the figure spoke, voice low and urgent. You're not from here. You don't know the rules. Eli bared his teeth instinctively, a low growl rumbling from his throat. The figure raised their hands slowly. Easy. I'm not with them. Behind them, distant howls cut the night again, closer this time. If you want to survive, the stranger said, follow me. Eli hesitated. Trusting another creature of the dark was suicide, but staying here was death. He followed. They moved fast, weaving through forgotten alleys and broken fences, the city swallowing their scent as they ducked into hidden pathways known only to those who lived outside the rules of human society. Finally, deep in the belly of an abandoned subway station, they stopped. The stranger turned, pulling back their hood. A young woman, no older than Eli, stared back at him. Short cropped hair, piercing amber eyes, a jagged scar tracing from temple to jawline. Name's Riven, she said. You've really stirred up the wrong kind of attention. Eli shifted awkwardly, still half transformed, muscles trembling with exhaustion. Why are they after me? Riven's smile was grim. Because you're not supposed to exist. She gestured toward the dark, dead city around them. There's a system here, a hidden one. Werewolves aren't just myths. They're tools, controlled by the syndicate. They breed them, bind them, use them to clean up their dirty work. Enforcers, assassins, spies. Her voice hardened. Rogues like you, you're a liability, a crack in the system, something they can't control. Eli felt the weight of her words settle on him like a second skin. Controlled, used, hunted. The pack that chased him wasn't hunting for food. They were hunting to preserve the order their masters demanded. Riven leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. But you're different, I can smell it. You're not just another mongrel set loose by accident. She tilted her head, studying him like a puzzle. You're something new. The howls drew nearer, echoing through the hollow tunnels. Riven tensed, nostrils flaring. We don't have much time. Eli stood straighter, a low primal snarl escaping his lips. He could feel it now, the raw power that pulsed in his blood. The bloodline Aggie had hinted at, the hollow-born legacy that made him something more than a tool. He was not prey, not anymore. They didn't wait for the pack to find them. Together, Eli and Riven exploded from the subway, a blur of muscle and fury. They hit the streets running, darting between abandoned cars and crumbling buildings, the pack thundering behind them. The first of the hunters lunged, massive, slavering, eyes filled with mindless rage. Eli met him head-on. The collision rattled the night air. Claws slashed, teeth snapped, blood flew. But Eli wasn't the boy he had been, and he wasn't just the beast he had become. He was both. He ducked the swipe of a massive paw, rolled low, and drove his claws deep into the hunter's flank. The beast howled in pain, staggering back. Riven handled another, her movements precise, calculated. A whirlwind of teeth and claws designed for survival, not glory. They fought not with brute strength alone, but with something rarer, purpose, freedom. By the time the last of the hunters limped away into the night, blood staining their dark coats, Eli stood panting and bloodied but alive. Riven wiped her mouth, grinning fiercely. Told you, you're different. Eli met her gaze, something ancient stirring inside him. For the first time since the transformation, he didn't feel hunted. He felt dangerous, powerful, and maybe, just maybe, he had found something worth fighting for. The city had quieted. Somewhere above, beyond the maze of cracked concrete and broken glass, dawn teased the horizon with the faintest touch of gray. But the night was not done yet, and neither was the hunt. Riven moved beside Eli with careful, predatory grace, every sense straining for signs of another ambush. They both knew the truth. The pack's leader would not retreat, not without finishing what had been started, not without blood. They didn't have to wait long. The air shifted, heavy with rage, with the sour stench of burning blood. And then, he emerged. The Alpha Dot, a monster of muscle and scars, standing nearly 8 feet tall, black fur matted and torn from countless battles. His golden eyes burned not with hunger, but with absolute feral hatred. And deep behind that hatred, something worse. Certainty. Certainty that this was how it must end. Eli stepped forward without thinking. Something old and terrible rose inside him. Not fear, not anger, purpose. The Alpha snarled, a sound that made the broken city tremble. He charged. The impact was cataclysmic. Flesh slammed into flesh, claws raked fur, teeth snapped at throats. The Alpha fought like a force of nature, an avalanche of rage and strength. But Eli fought with something deeper. He fought with control, every lesson learned from Aggie, every instinct sharpened by survival, every wound carved into his soul over countless nights alone in the dark. He ducked low under a vicious swipe, twisting, with an inhuman speed, driving his shoulder into the Alpha's gut. The beast staggered, surprised, but only for a moment. Pain flared as the Alpha's claws found Eli's ribs, tearing deep. He stumbled back, blood gushing. Riven lunged to help, but Eli raised a hand. No. This was his fight. The Alpha circled him now, slower, grinning with broken, bloody teeth. "You're nothing," the creature growled, voice rough and guttural. Another failed experiment. Eli wiped blood from his mouth and smiled coldly. "Not a failure," he rasped. "A beginning." The Alpha charged again, faster now, but Eli was ready. He met the attack head-on, not with brute strength, but with intelligence, timing, precision. He twisted under the Alpha's grasp, locking the larger beast's wrist, using the Alpha's momentum against him. A brutal throw. The ground shook with the impact. Before the Alpha could rise, Eli was on him, driving clawed hands deep into his enemy's throat, pinning him to the crumbling pavement. The Alpha thrashed, roared, but it was too late. The blood moon's light caught Eli's eyes, and for a moment something ancient shone there. Something older than the Syndicate, older than the Pax, older than the curse itself. Freedom. With a final savage snarl, Eli tore the life from the Alpha's body. The leader was dead. The pack, leaderless, would scatter. Broken, silence reigned. Riven stepped forward slowly, her amber eyes wide with something like awe and something like fear. "You're more than Hollowborn," she whispered. Eli stood there, bloodied, battered, and awake in a way he had never been before. The Syndicate hadn't created him. They had tried to control something they never truly understood, and now that mistake would cost them everything. Far above, in the towers that still stood against the dying city, unseen eyes watched. A new player had entered the board. The humans who had once ruled from the shadows would not sit idle. They would come for him, with weapons, with science, with fear. But Eli Warren was no longer prey. He was the storm coming for them. As he and Riven disappeared into the misty streets, one thought burned brighter than the rising sun. This was only the beginning. If you enjoyed part 2 of this trilogy, make sure to like this video. It really helps us out. You can also click on our Ultimate Werewolf playlist to watch more horror and cryptid stories. The link is in the description below. If you love horror, folklore, and unexplained mysteries, subscribe to the channel to join our growing community of fear seekers. But don't stop there. Turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Because in the world of horror, the scariest things happen when you least expect them. And trust me, you don't want to be left in the dark. Welcome to the darkness.